are so back. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Whistle. My name's Eric. I'm a level 5 referee here in England, and I take you in the day in the life of what it's like to be a grassroots referee. Today is the first week of pre-season. What a day that is. It's been about 8 weeks since I've last had a game. I'm very, very excited to get back out on the pitch. Today, we're refereeing Smith's Barometrics versus Bishop's Cleeve Development. Smith's Barometrics play in the Northern Senior League Division 2, whereas Bishop's Cleeve Development recently got promoted to the Gloucestershire County League. So there's a 2-division difference between the sides tonight. A lot of players from Finton, who we refereed in the County Cup final last season, have moved to Barometrics, as well as the manager. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. Follow along with me and I'll see you guys at the ground. I forgot my microphone for the vlog, but it's the first one back. I'm sure you'll understand. Anyway, we're at Cleeve. For those of you that watched before, you'll know what this looks like, but have a look at this. Very, very nice. Big shout out to Bishop's Cleeve Football Club for the lovely, lovely changing room. Looks really, really good. Looking forward to tonight. First game of pre-season. What a feeling. We'll probably do a water break just because it's hot and players will be tired and thirsty. And when players get tired and thirsty, they make silly decisions. So we'll take a drinks break after 20 minutes. It can be a regular game, except unlimited subs, roll on, roll off. Just so lads can get the game time in. A few of you are always asking what whistle I use in my videos, and it varies week to week. This week, we've got the Molten Dolphin F with the ref stop lanyard. Love this whistle. I've only used it once, but love, love, love the sound. So I'll leave a link for that in the description if you want to check it out. So we are back, here we are. You'll see the Liverpool shirt behind me, and if anyone can recognise what this is, I'll be impressed. This is the Cheltenham Town shirt. Fun fact actually, this Cheltenham Town shirt, this is from 2001, I want to say. Cheltenham Town played Burnley in the FA Cup and we won. And I was a mascot that day. So I had this shirt from all the teams signed. Very cool, very old shirt. Absolutely love it. Big up Cheltenham Town. So this was an interesting one. This was kind of the first pre-season game I've done. I think I did one when I first started refereeing. I've done games in pre-season before, but they've always been in competitive tournaments, which makes a big difference. Because the expectation of how that game goes is very different when it's non-competitive game, which you'll see in this match. We got our first foul of the game here. You'll see that the lad gets his ankles clipped. Then there's a 50-50 challenge out on the sideline, but we bring it back for the free kick. Pretty standard, in my opinion, to start the game. So the goalkeeper collects the ball, and you'll see me raise my hand. Now, why am I doing this? It's a new law. This year, the goalkeepers only have 8 seconds to hold the ball, and then from 5 seconds, the referee needs to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If the goalkeeper does not release the ball, you blow your whistle and give a corner kick to the side that the goalkeeper was on. It used to be an indirect free kick, and it used to be 6 seconds, and it was never, ever, ever enforced. And so IFAB changed the laws, and now this is the new law, which I'm a big fan of. I did forget a couple of times in this game, but yes, that is the new law, and I think I like it. Now, one thing to note for myself is because I was so focused on watching the goalkeeper and counting down, I don't adopt a good position when the goalkeeper's going to release it from his hands. So obviously as he releases it, I'm in between the centre circle and the edge of the box. Knowing full well he's going to kick the ball a long way, I should position myself up near the centre circle. Yeah, up around here somewhere. It'd be a lot better. And then I can deal with anything that's happening here, right? You see these two lads tussling. I should be on in shot here for sure. And then I'd be at a much better angle to see what's happening. Barometrics then get this corner and go 1-0 up. So after about 10 minutes of play, it's kind of back and forth, nothing really happens, and then Bishop's Cleeve Development make it 1-1.
Good Jim, straight lines.
So here we get an example of some holding between these two players here. You'll see that the defender wraps his arms around the striker, but then the striker grabs the defender's hands. You never ever see this at like grassroots, like real grassroots, the lowest level, but it is super common in higher levels of football. And this is the first time I've actually encountered this type of holding since becoming a referee, and it's quite difficult because if you go and watch like Southern League, National League, Football League football, the players are holding so often, especially this tussle between the centre half and the striker. You'll see it so often, and the expectation here will be different, right? Because these teams are like 3 divisions apart, 2 divisions apart. So it's something I got to manage going forward and see what players expect and what is, you know, deemed too much holding and what is allowed. It's evident here that the players in blue deem that this is too much holding. However, I didn't give the free kick. We do, however, give a free kick for this little late challenge here. There's not much in it, but he has come through the back of him late, and I just wanted to try and nip that in the bud early doors. We then go in for a quick water break. You'd be surprised to know that in England, when it gets above about 20 degrees, about 70 Fahrenheit, players will want a water break. So it was about 24, 25, quite humid, so we stopped for a water break halfway through the first half. If you have a water break in a match, it cannot be longer than a minute. So once a minute passes, you need to call the players back in. As the Cleve fullback has the ball, we notice that there's an opportunity for him to play a long ball into the winger. So we start moving forward straight away. There's a brilliant touch by the winger. He drives inside, plays the ball across, and then there's a foul, but we let it play because it's going to fall to the other player, and he slots it in. If that other player wouldn't have been there, this would have been a penalty, and it would have been dogso, so a yellow card, because a genuine attempt to play the ball. However, because it's played out and the lad has scored, there's no need for any disciplinary action. So 2-1 to Cleve. We then get a blood injury. So a lad had grazed his arm, presumably on the AstroTurf, and there was a lot of blood on his arm. If you have a blood injury, the player has to go off the pitch and get it covered so the bleeding stops. And if there's blood on the shirt, you have to replace the shirt as well. Cleve then break down the wing again and make it 3-1. They then break down the other wing and score another. So now that it's, 4-1 in the first half, there are a few things you start to think about, well, that I start to think about as a referee. One is, will the team that's losing just lose their heads completely and get hot and bothered, potentially? Or will it be a game that just dies down and teams just try things and pass the ball around a lot? But you want to make sure you're vigilant to this, because if it goes very one-sided, you can have some issues. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happens with us. So these two players that were holding each other earlier in the half have this little interaction. Pink player wins the ball, the number 10 then fouls him, and as he's walking, he deliberately walks through him. The 6 grabs his foot and then he pushes him in the back of the head to tell him to get off. We basically say something along the lines of, lads, like, what are we doing? Calm yourselves down. I tell them to move away and then we deal with it. Now he's pushed him in the back of the head. By the letter of the law, this is a red card for violent conduct. By the letter of the law. However, as referees, we also give decisions in the spirit of the game. Are they hot and bothered? Yes. Are they tired? Yes. Is he 4-1 down? Yes. Did the 6 antagonize him? Yes. Were there any afters? No. Was it really that serious? No. Was there a high temperature of the game? No. And so for me, in a pre-season match, I feel like I can just deal with this by talking to them rather than dishing out a red card. Less than a minute later, the number 6 receives the ball, and as he plays the ball away, rather than look at play, we keep our eyes on these two players. The reason being, my spidey senses were like tingling, you know? I was watching it thinking, oh, like something's gonna happen here, keep an eye on it. Then he pushes him in the back, completely off the ball, and so we stop play. At this point, we've got 5 minutes left of the half, and so I tell the manager of the barometrics team, who I know relatively well, to just take him off, because it's gonna escalate. And it's a pre-season match, it's roll on, roll off, so just take him off and then we don't have to deal with any issues. And that's exactly what they do. I don't recommend this to every ref, but at the end of the day, you are there to referee a football match. If you think that, you know, certain action is warranted, then absolutely give it, which you'll see later on in the game. This is the first situation of this kind we had in the game, and I felt this was the best way to deal with it, so that is what I did. But you wouldn't be wrong in giving a red card or a yellow card for what the lad did. But if you're going to give a card, it would actually have to be red, because it's contact with the head that's not quote unquote negligible. So it would be a red for violent conduct. However, I think I could manage it, and I feel like I did. The new lad that comes on then commits this foul. As a standalone foul, there's not much to it. However, we've just had the bits that we've had, it started to heat up a little bit. So I felt like it was appropriate to bring the next player in that committed a foul and have a word. Obviously, the foul doesn't warrant any disciplinary action. It's just a careless tackle. But I just pull in the captain and I speak to the player and just say, look, lads, the temperature's rising a little bit. We've got a couple minutes before half time. Let's just be careful on the fouls. And I know the ball's there to be won. We just need to be sensible. And they're like, yeah, good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is half time. So yeah, as you see, it's a relatively one-sided game. There's been a couple of incidents where it started to get a little bit heated, and that does, unfortunately, carry on into the second half. Now you might be thinking, Eric, you're wearing a different t-shirt. The lighting's changed. Yeah, you're right. Look, I'm a parent. Sometimes duty calls and your baby's sick on you. So we get this slide tackle from the blue centre half. The ball then breaks, and then as the pink striker is driving through, the other blue defender slide tackles, brings him down. You'll see at the point where he's brought him down, we've got a situation where he would actually be 1v1 with this player with an opportunity to have a good attempt at goal. So for me, this is a mixture of reckless play and stopping a promising attack. And so that's why I decided to show a yellow card. As he commits this foul, he actually gets cramp. And so we don't show the yellow card immediately. Well, why not? So we stand next to him whilst he gets treatment. And the reason why we don't show a yellow card is typically you would wait until that player stands up. So if somebody is due a card, but they're on the floor, they're injured, you would wait until they stand up to show them that card. Why that is a thing, I'm not sure. I think it's so it's clear who we're showing a yellow card to. And so you'll see me, you'll see as he gets up, we show him the yellow card. Bit harsh, as obviously he's hobbling off the pitch injured, but the yellow card is the yellow card. We then get a difficult situation where we show a red card for violent conduct. So a lad cuts in, and as the player makes the foul, he steps onto his back. What do you think? Is this nothing? Is it a yellow card, or is it a red card? Considerations for me. How long after the foul did he step on him? He took a couple steps beforehand. 2, do I think it was deliberate? Yes. 3, how much force was there? Now, it wasn't a stamp. I'll acknowledge that. He didn't stamp on his back. However, from my angle, and looks similar from the camera, he's made no effort not to step on the lad who's on the floor. This for me is an act of violent conduct, and so that's why I've shown a red card. You'll hear that not everybody agrees.
He's just stood on it. That's a joke! That's a joke! What's accidental?
However, for me, from where I was stood in this moment, it's crystal clear. Now, it's a friendly as well, so that's something to take into consideration. The teams have an expectation that the ref is more lenient, and I'm inclined to agree. Let's say this was a Dogzo situation where he brings him down on the edge of the box, second to last defender, clear Dogzo red card. I'd be inclined to show a yellow as it's a pre-season friendly. However, actions like this, for me, I don't have any choice but to show a red card. But I'm interested to know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know, do you think it's a red card? And if it's because it's pre-season, would you do anything differently? Now, this is pre-season. So I jog over to have a conversation with both managers and I explain, look, it's a clear red card to me. However, if you're both happy, you can bring somebody on and we can carry on the game at 11v11. Both managers say yes, and so that's what we do. Yeah, we get this situation about 10 minutes later where there's some poor positioning from me. So Cleve had the ball in the middle. The lad starts driving forward and he plays the pass. You'll see that I glance across to the assistant, but I'm still jogging. This is a really high risk situation where a lot could happen. So I really should be sprinting into this area here. You'll see that as that ball gets played in and the lad takes the shot, I'm looking through a couple bodies. I'm 15, 20 yards away from the edge of the box. And if something happened, I wouldn't have been there to see it. So first game of pre-season, a little bit slow. I've got to make more of an effort to get into those areas. Just not really good enough. We're able to give a good advantage and Barometrics have an opportunity to score. So the lad gets fouled in the middle. It falls to number 15 and so we tell them to play on. And then Barometrics go on the attack. It's a great touch from the forward and he slots it past the keeper. However, the defender makes a great clearance off the line. Where am I? I'm not even on screen. I've really got to work harder and get into better positions, man. Yeah, the fact that I'm not in shot is shocking. I need to be way closer to the ball. Barometrics then go on the attack. Again, shortly after that, Cleve score another goal. And then very shortly after, Cleve put the final nail in the coffin.
No right. No way should he ever get that.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is full time. Thanks so much for watching. We are so back. I'll see you next week.